Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our virtual marine biology camp again today.
Should give folks a few minutes to join on
Sure.
Instagram.
And I'm also going to do a little camera adjustment, which is always fun. Alrighty.
Cool.
Great. Thank you again for joining us another day. And if it's your first time joining, welcome. I'm Dr. Erin Ash.
Dr. Rob Williams.
And we are both marine biologists. We're based in Seattle, but we do work in the Pacific Northwest, including Canada and other places around the world. And we are staying at home, and we're here with our 5.5-year-old daughter who may pop in for a visit today, but we're not sure. We
kind of follow her lead,
we
you know?
leave it up to her. But today we are just thrilled to have a special guest, Natalie Mastick, who will be joining us soon to talk about her PhD work that she's currently doing on parasites and worms that occur in marine mammals.
Yeah. So we're gonna be talking a little bit about poop. It's just it's not potty talk, it's science.
Yes, exactly. And so we will wait until Natalie kind of requests to join in. I think that's how this works. Again, we're scientists. We're not educators. We really value the role that teachers play, but we are parents, and we know that many of you are at home with your children as well. And we thought maybe this would be a great opportunity to talk about marine biology, marine wildlife, conservation of marine wildlife, and we have really been enjoying your your questions and your drawings and all of your lovely support and feedback. And thank you so much. It really is a joy, especially during these strong germ days. And here we have Natalie joining us. Hello, Natalie.
Hi. So to those of you on Instagram, you should be able to see either down or this
We're
way.
not sure. Somewhere.
Depending on which platform you're on. Natalie Mastick.
That's me.
And for those of you joining on Facebook, we will post the video that includes Natalie later. It turns out we had a surprise technical issue where we weren't able to get Natalie on Facebook. So we will resolve that over the weekend before we have Dr. David Schiffman join us on Monday to speak about sharks. But again, today we're going to talk about whale parasites, or worms, they're often called. They're not all worms, but...
Well, we're going to ask the expert.
Yeah, we'll ask the expert. That's a good question.
But Natalie, did we figure out the Facebook problem?
No, we did not. It looks like Facebook doesn't do
I'm going to turn that.
live with a friend anymore.
Okay.
Bummer.
We will do our best.
But to those of you who are joining in on Facebook Live, you should be able to hear both questions, and we will post the full video, including the side-by-side
Yes.
with Natalie, to our Facebook page, video page as well. So Natalie, before you introduce yourself, did you bake anything for 11s?
Or do you have
I
coffee?
did not bake anything for 11sies. I have run out of sugar.
Oh.
We
I know. It's a
have
tragedy.
a little apple pie.
But full disclosure, we did not bake this pie. We had it, fortunately, we had it in our freezer.
Oh, that's nice.
Things have been a little bit busy the last few days, which is great.
Yep.
So we slacked a little in our baking, but we're going to pick that up again over the weekend. But yes, we have apple pie.
Cool.
And some
Nice.
some tea. Sorry, there is a giant bug crawling up our phone. Okay. The giant bug is interested in joining. It's a good segue because sometimes we refer to parasites as bugs.
That's true.
So yeah, Natalie, do you want to tell us a little more about your work and what you're up to?
Sure. Yeah, so like you guys said, I'm a PhD student that works with Oceans Initiative at University of Washington. I look at the parasites or worms that infect killer whales up here. And to do that, I look at killer whale poop. So, again, this is not a potty mouth episode. It's just how we look at these things. But basically, we get a little bit of whale poop, and we do some laboratory tests where we spin it around really fast, and all of the eggs of worms float to the surface. And then we can find those worms with a microscope. They're very small.
Okay.
But, okay,
So-
I have some questions too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to back up a few steps.
Okay, sorry.
First of all.
Jump in.
A, that's cool. B, we want to know how you told your parents, hey, I'm doing a PhD in whale poopology. Like, that was a conversation. But before we get to that,
Yes.
the term parasite, are all worms parasites and are all parasites worms? What's the deal there?
No, to both questions.
Okay.
So, there are parasitic worms,
Okay.
and parasites are animals that live in or on another animal
Okay.
and use that animal to survive.
Okay.
So, they feed off of it and use it as a home.
Okay.
And then some of those parasites live inside a single animal their whole lives. Some of them move on to different animals. And then not all parasites are worms. So there are a bunch of different types of parasites. There are ones that look like tiny crabs. Whales
Cool.
get whale lice, which
Oh,
look
right.
like tiny crabs
Of
that
course.
crawl around on
Whoa.
top of whales. Those don't seem to have as much of a negative effect, besides just being like a friendly little hitchhiker. But
Okay.
yeah, so there are a bunch of different types of parasites. There are more parasites than we know of.
Okay.
And the ones that I look at are parasitic worms.
And the worms that live in the gut.
Inside the
Yes.
animal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
have a question too.
Yeah.
Well, you said that you look at poop. So how do you get the poop? Or how do your colleagues, how does that
What does it even look like?
how does that work?
I've got some pictures. I have them on my laptop, so hopefully we can look at it. So first of all, whale poop depends on the whale you're looking at.
Sure.
Okay.
So baleen whales, like blue whales and humpback whales that eat a lot of krill,
Mhm.
their poop looks bright pink, which is kind of cool. And it looks a little bit like that.
Cool. So this is the poop from whales that do not have teeth and that
Yes.
filter krill out of the ocean.
Exactly.
And the krill is kind of pink, and so their poop ends up pink.
Yes.
Okay.
And so people can see it, pink poop floating on the surface of the water, and then collect it in nets or other collection devices.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the killer whale poop that we look at looks a little bit more like this one's small, but it's more of a yellow color. So it
Okay.
looks very similar to what that other picture looks like.
Okay. And just,
But it's more.
I'm just gonna say one more time for folks on Facebook. I think you can watch this on Instagram without as well. But anyway,
You can
we
just go
will
to
post-
Instagram.
Yeah.
Oceans Initiative on Instagram, and you should be able to watch the
The live
The live
stream.
stream.
If but either way, we will post poop photos and the whole visual
cool.
Yeah.
element
I did
on
see a
Facebook.
Okay.
I saw a comment that asked to see the poop again, so I'm holding that up again.
Okay.
Okay. But this is
Yeah.
not killer whale poop. This is
like-
poop
No.
from a baleen whale,
Like
like
a-
a humpback or a blue whale
Okay.
that eats krill.
People are pretty excited about pink poop.
It's pretty. It's
Yeah.
really pretty.
Yeah.
It smells terrible. But very pretty.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So killer whale poop. I have a very tiny picture, but
Okay.
it doesn't do it justice. It looks like yellow
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's trickier to find.
Yeah.
I know we've had.
In my experience, it kind
It
of
takes
looks
us
like
a
a
long time.
seagull poop. That's just kind of like a
A
white
yellow-
splatter
or
on the
yellower.
surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the time, whale poop is not exactly solid. It
Okay.
makes kind of plumes
Yeah.
that look like clouds in the water. So sometimes it looks like this. Sometimes it's more liquidy.
And you got to be quick.
Yes.
Like you got to get in there really quickly.
You got to get in there very quickly.
And a number of kids have all asked, how do you collect it? And we have used a couple of different ways. We use a pool net and put like cheesecloth on it, or a pool net and then
And
sweep it up and
swab
then
it.
swab it with cheesecloth if you're just trying to figure out what is it. But if you want to do really fancy, sophisticated tests, you want
Like
as much of
Natalie.
the volume as possible. So we take the lid off a 2-liter soda pop bottle, attach that to a pool net pole, and scoop it up.
But I know that at the University of Washington, Dr. Sam Wasser helped pioneer a technique to use dogs. And the dogs can actually sniff the poop of not only whales, but animals all over the world. Because you can find all sorts of neat things in poop. Yeah.
So,
that's one
we've
of the
got the
ways
sample.
here.
It's
Yeah.
it's in a tube.
Yeah.
And like before you start looking for worms, well, first of all, a bunch of people are asking, why are the worms there?
Okay.
Okay. So
And we have also-
let's-
But then what else? We
Questions
want to know
people
what
send
else
in.
you can get out of a poop sample. What else can you learn about a whale? So
Okay.
which should we answer first?
I don't know.
let's answer the second one first.
Okay.
Because that explains how I got my samples at all.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
So nobody was really looking at parasites in these killer whales' poops at all. But we had a lot of poop samples available because you can use poop to look at hormones, to look at diet, and a lot of other different like genetic information about the whale.
Okay.
So a
So,
lot
right,
of
so
other
you can get, like,
researchers have.
DNA from the poop.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of other researchers have spent a lot of time and effort collecting these samples, using dogs or not using dogs, and so I kind of get the hand-me-down samples, the leftovers, because we gotta recycle poop, right?
Right.
I mean,
Well,
it's precious.
they're endangered whales, so we don't want 10 people out there collecting poop. So it's a great way to
Exactly.
teamwork, where you have to work together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So someone was just asking, how do the dogs sniff it if it's underwater?
You guys would probably be a very good
Well, they
person.
It's
Yeah.
mostly not underwater, right?
Mostly
It floats on the
Yeah.
surface,
Mhm.
and then the dogs are really good. They can smell it a mile
they
away,
have incredible.
and
They have really good
Science.
noses.
just these are the same kind of dogs. They go through the same kind of training as you have sniffer dogs smelling for drugs at an airport or something like that. And as Erin was saying, since they're critically endangered, it's great that we can stay far away.
Yeah.
And with one sample, we can figure out what are they eating, who are they, get genetics from them, contaminants, look for diseases, parasites. And then the question was, why are the worms there?
That's a really good question. So, the worms that I look at have a pretty complicated life cycle.
Okay.
So, parasites, like I said before, they can live in one animal their whole lives, or they can live in a couple different animals. So, the worms that are infecting killer whales they start out as eggs in the ocean, and then they get eaten by a small shrimp, basically, and then that shrimp gets eaten by a fish, and then that fish gets eaten by another fish, and eventually that fish gets eaten by a killer whale.
Okay.
So it kind of travels up the food chain to the killer whale.
Amazing.
And then when it's in the killer whale, it's ocean and it can start again.
That's a beautiful
Life
life
circle of
cycle.
life. So, are the eggs
That is really
fertilized when they're inside the killer whale, or is it like fish eggs where they get externally fertilized?
They're ready to go as soon as they leave the killer whale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, here's a picture of that. So you've got
Ooh.
So Natalie's showing us a picture of
The life cycle.
parasite life cycle. And again, if you're on Facebook, we will post this photo. And this might be a fun activity for folks at home if you want to draw your own life cycle.
yeah.
Of,
Or we can convert it to a
Parasites.
black and white
yeah, it could be
coloring sheet.
coloring sheet or something.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Okay.
I can do that.
If we're allowed
Okay.
to do that. Thanks, Natalie. That was
Oh
neat.
man.
So okay, we do have like
We have a lot of questions
Yeah, so we can't-
from the actual children
We can't-
who wrote in, and we can't dominate
we have
all the
our
questions,
own questions.
although I really have a lot. And
Okay.
one of the parallels I'm hearing is that it's kind of like what Laura was talking about on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
where the salmon spends part of their life cycle in the fresh water, and then they go out to sea to feed, and then they come back to the river to reproduce and lay their eggs, and
Mm-hmm.
and so they effectively have very different habitats for different stages of their life.
Yeah.
We're studying them when they're in the killer whales, and then when they come out in the poop. But
Yeah, they have like different little homes.
cool. So Ben in Portland, Oregon would like to know,
Ben, who's 10,
Ben who's 10,
rhymes.
what type of worms do you find, and how do you tell them apart?
How do you identify them? Yeah.
That's a really great question. So the types of worms that I find are called anisakids. And that's a whole family of parasitic worms that infect marine mammals. So whales and dolphins and seals and sea lions. And I tell them apart based on the eggs that they're laying in the poop. So the poop that I look at just has eggs usually. It doesn't usually have adult worms in it.
Okay.
And it takes a lot of magnification, so I have a microscope zoomed in a lot
Okay.
to tell apart the eggs.
Is it a big microscope?
It's a very big microscope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
is it like how big is big? Like not the microscope, but like how much do you have to zoom? Like twice as big? Can you see it? Like are they that
Like
big?
20 times big.
Whoa.
So Natalie
Yeah.
zooms it like by 20 times at least to see
Yeah.
these
Whoa.
little
But
critters.
the eggs themselves, they're about the diameter of a strand of your hair.
Wow.
So
Cool.
really, really tiny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you can identify the worms.
In your lab.
And
With
who
the
taught you?
microscope.
Who taught you how to do that? Or do you just were you born knowing? Oh yeah, that's what that egg looks like.
It took a lot of practice.
Okay.
I'm still learning, so a lot of the time I can't tell just visually, so I'll take a very zoomed in picture and then I'll refer to all of the books that there are on parasites to figure out what it is later. Yeah.
And presumably you have a very good teacher.
I have a very good teacher. My advisor, Dr. Chelsea Wood at Washington, or UW, University of Washington, is a phenomenal parasitologist, and she's taught me everything she knows. Well, she knows too much.
One of the things we've been talking about all month is just how lucky we are to have great teachers.
Yeah,
and
that's
how much
right.
we miss them and how we can't wait for the schools to reopen. Speaking of which, I can't help but notice you're not in a lab.
That's true.
Is
So
your
my-
school closed too?
My school closed too. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I can't bring poop home with me. I
Right.
have 2 dogs that would be too tempted by the smell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
that's why I
Amy,
don't have poop with me.
Amy's daughter Sadie, who's 8 from Protection Island, BC, which
Oh,
is a really
wow.
cool spot,
That is.
wants to know, can you tell resident and transient, the fish-eating and mammal-eating killer whales apart from their poop?
Ooh.
I bet you could,
Yeah.
based on the can
Yeah.
get from the poop. We don't have a lot of transient poop. We don't know why, but we think that transient whales might poop deeper down or it might sink faster.
Oh. So if they're
it's-
eating seals or sea lions, that's all muscle.
Or dolphins.
Maybe
Yeah.
it sinks
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would certainly like to be out on the water a little bit more with the transient mammal-eating killer whales, because presumably one of the things we're going to talk about is, can the poop and the parasite load tell you something about how healthy the population is? And at what point does it start to harm individuals? And so from a science perspective, it would be really nice to have samples from a healthy population. The mammal-eating killer whale population is growing really quickly.
Or the residents in British Columbia,
The northern residents.
which are doing much better. Than,
And then see how that compares to the southern residents, which are critically endangered.
yeah.
Um,
Well, do we want to talk about that right now, or do you want to go move on to the next question?
well, Terry wants to know,
I like that question.
I mean, they must have big worms.
And
So
Terry wants
in
to
the
know how
poop,
big
you
they
were
are.
saying the eggs are about the diameter of a human hair, but are there big worms anywhere in a whale's body?
Yeah, so in the digestive system, so the stomach and the intestines, that's where we'll see the adult worms.
Oh,
And
okay.
The smallest of the adult worms are about 6 centimeters, which is about the size of like a chocolate chip cookie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they only get bigger from there, so they
Okay.
can be pretty big.
Yeah.
And in really severe infections where whales have a bunch of worms living in them, it's really gross. It kind of looks like spaghetti in there. It's gross.
And do they get tapeworms too? Like really big worms?
Marine mammals, I don't know if all of them get tapeworms, but a lot of them get tapeworms
Okay.
that can grow really long.
Okay. And do we know at what point how much is too much? Like at what point does it become like a nuisance versus actually, oh, this can actually harm a whale?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. When we cross that threshold into being like a normal, benign, like not a problem infection
Yeah.
to a problematic infection. So what I'm doing is I'm comparing the amount of parasites that we're seeing in the poop to the overall condition of the whale, so how skinny or fat that
Okay.
whale looks. And that's how we normally figure out how healthy a whale is, besides like breath sampling or poop sampling. We can take a picture of the whale from above and get an idea of how skinny or fat it is.
Okay.
So by looking at how parasitized an animal is, how many parasites it has, and comparing that to how skinny or fat it is, we can kind of see if it's having an impact potentially on their health.
Got it.
And that's work that Holly Fernbach and John Durbin and Lance Barrett Leonard are doing to fly drones over the whales to measure how long and fat they are.
It's really amazing.
Because a lot of the questions are about how do you become a marine biologist and how do you study killer whales. There aren't a lot of jobs for killer whaleologists. One of the things I keep hearing you say is that it's really about collaboration and bringing a unique skill set to those partnerships.
Yeah.
Like, did you
Yeah.
expect that you were going to become a parasitologist when you were an undergraduate or in high
No.
school?
Or doing your
No,
master's.
I never even really learned about parasites because they're something we a lot of the time ignore,
Okay.
just because they don't really fit the molds of what we think animals to be. And
Okay.
they're gross and icky, and they are like the bad guys because they
Okay.
feed off of everything
Okay.
else.
Yeah.
So I definitely didn't think I would be a parasitologist, but I definitely wanted to help endangered marine mammal populations.
Okay.
And this was something that no one was looking at. And the resources were available through teamwork. There are so many people that are already studying these whales. So I tried to find a way to make an impact without putting any more resources in towards collecting data.
Yeah.
So complementing the work and strengthening the work that others are doing.
Yeah.
So would you say, I mean, what did you study in high school and then college
And
to
for
be-
your master's.
to get you to this point? Was it clearly it wasn't Parasites 101?
We always get a lot of questions about folks wanting.
Here's Leslie, speak of the devil.
Yeah.
I want to be a marine biologist when I grow up. How do you become one? And so what was your path and what did you study?
Okay, so in high school, I took a lot of science classes. I took every science class that was offered because I was really interested in that. And then in college, I double majored, so I studied marine biology and environmental studies. And then I went on to get a master's in wildlife science, but my focus was still on whales. So it's been a lot of life sciences, biology, ecology. I've kind of stayed away from physics and chemistry as much as possible because those don't make as much sense to me. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, for example, I think I really wish I had studied more genetics in university.
Me too.
I feel like I'm pretty weak there. But
But
I
luckily
suspect,
you can collaborate with.
but you can partner with
Experts.
people, just like we partner with veterinarians who tell us, whoa, that animal is sick. And I think the reason it's important to know, here's the point at which a parasite burden is causing a whale to be skinny, is that if we work with veterinarians, we might be able to give them some information that says this whale has this species of worms in its scat, in its poop. And the hope is then that the veterinarians could do something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What could they do?
Well, so these parasites are treatable. If any of you have a pet at home and you've taken them to the vet and had to get them dewormed,
Yeah.
you can have a deworming medicine that kills all of the worms that are living inside your pet. The same thing can happen with a killer whale. And in terms of knowing how to do that, we actually can learn from the people that have kept killer whales in captivity because they've had to treat whales for a long time.
Right.
So, that
And so in the wild, I mean, veterinarians may be able to find out a system where they could shoot a killer whale with a small dart and inject them with medication, or maybe put the medicine in a fish and try to get the whale to eat the fish that has the medicine inside.
It should be said that would only be under
Extreme
rare
circumstances.
conditions because this population of killer whales that we're talking about is so critically endangered. So maybe for your some of the other species we study, that probably wouldn't be a course of action. But but
well, this is a good question,
we have another question.
Allison. How do
Allison
orcas
asked.
poop?
how do they poop?
Because I mean, you don't want to get water. I mean, they're under water, right? So you don't want the water flowing in or out.
Well, do we want to back up to the digestive system, or do you want to start there? Start at the end?
Mouth to digestive system to.
Because, what about getting water in the mouth on the eating side?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
I mean, whales poop a lot like anything else poops. They do poop close to the surface, but I don't know exactly how they keep water from going both directions.
Valves.
Valves, I
Yeah.
assume. Yes.
Yeah, one way the valves are set up to flow in one direction so that they can eat salmon without the water going down their throats. Yeah.
And then their stomachs are kind of like cows. I mean, they have many chambers.
Yeah, they have a 3-part stomach. So the first part is like the forestomach, and it's basically an extension of their esophagus, and no digestion's really taking place in there. And then they have a second stomach, which is their main stomach, and that's the most like a human stomach.
Okay.
And then the third stomach actually constructed into like a nutrient soup, and
Okay.
it can get digested from there, and then
Okay.
it goes to the intestines.
Okay.
And my understanding is that those stomach chambers are connected by like narrow passageways, and that's what makes whales, particularly baleen whales, like humpback whales, susceptible to plastic pollution in the ocean, because those little narrow chambers, you can get plastic trapped in there, which can cause obviously digestive problems. Anyway, fun fact.
Fun fact.
Not so fun fact,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
And we've been talking about the killer whales, but there was one question about what's ambergris.
Related to the stomach question, and thank you, Jess, for the stomach question, the digestive system food chain question. I hope we addressed.
So we've been talking
But-
about killer whales, but in sperm whales where they eat squid, they're, squid have a lot of wax. Waxy esters are the chemicals. And squids have beaks that are kind of like, they function like teeth. And so if their stomach fills up with these beaks or teeth,
Or their intestines.
yeah. And then all the wax kind of builds up around that, they can vomit that out. And you see it floating, and you can use it to make perfume,
It's
which
highly
is a strange
valuable.
thing, but it's worth a whole lot of money.
Yeah, and was used.
Whale vomit.
Has been used for thousands of years for
Yeah.
perfume and other applications. Anyway,
But that's going in the other direction. We're talking about
um,
food going out the end.
so we have some more. Well, Anna asked, do orcas get sick? And I think we talked about that a little bit, where you're discussing that they could get sick from having too many of these parasites and worms in their bodies.
Yeah, it's we don't know a ton about the effect yet, but in other marine mammals that have washed up on the shore dead, we've been able to see inside their stomachs, and a lot of the time they'll have a lot of parasites that could be taking up a lot of the energy that killer whales need from the food they eat. Because they live in the stomach, they're eating everything that the killer whale eats. So if there are a lot of parasites in the stomach, they could be redirecting that energy towards themselves.
Right. But you can't do an experiment and infect half the whales with worms, the other half without worms. So how do you know when it's a problem? Are you addressing that?
I am. I'm looking at, I don't have a ton of whale digestive tracts available to look in. So for the killer whales, I'm just looking at their poop. But for other marine mammals, I'm looking at entire digestive tracts and seeing what kind of concentrations of parasites we're seeing, to see what kind of energy those parasites could be taking away from their animal hosts.
Okay. So for the younger kids who are listening to that, how would we think about that? It's almost as though a whale is taking in 10 bites of food, but maybe the parasite is eating some of that, so they're not getting all the food that they're taking in.
Yeah, it's
And-
like if you're sharing your food with a little brother or a little sister. If they keep taking more and more bites of your food, you get less food yourself. Not to call siblings parasites.
They're not at all.
No.
But they are kind of stealing food off your plate.
Or a
Yeah.
pet.
And so
Yeah,
you
the dog
can't
would do that too.
you can't measure that directly. So what tools do you use to make predictions about that?
So we can figure out, it's kind of complicated science, but we can figure out how many parasites are living in their stomachs and intestines, and we can figure out how big those parasites are,
Yeah.
and do a lot of math equations actually to figure out how much energy those parasites need to survive, so how much food those parasites need to eat
Okay.
to live and grow,
Yeah.
and then figure out energy is being lost to them. So
Okay.
how much food they're taking up.
So I think there's a really important lesson in what you've just said to answer the most commonly asked question that I'm seeing. How do I become a marine biologist? What do I need to study? Math. Math. And everyone
Yeah.
thinks it's out swimming with the dolphins, but we spend very little time swimming with dolphins. And we spend a lot of time doing math.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple questions down here asking if you need to go to college to be a marine biologist. And it's kind of necessary because there's a lot of math that you have to learn and science that you have to learn
Yeah.
if you want to be conducting your own studies.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, for those who are joining a little bit later, the parasites end up in the fish. The fish ends up in the whale's stomach. And it's as though the whales are eating the fish, but some fraction of those fish don't get to be used by the whale to help the whale. They feed the parasite instead of feeding the whales. And so you're using a lot of math to say how much energy, how many calories does it cost the whale to have a whole lot of parasites. And I think it's really cool because for those who have been listening to the first 2 or 3 sessions, we've talked about the southern resident killer whales, and the biggest problem they're facing is that they're not getting enough food in the environment because the salmon are in trouble too. And so what you're doing is saying, here's how much salmon is in the ocean, and parasites are making some fraction of that less available to the whales. And if we could figure out what that is and treat it, we might be able to prevent, when whales get skinnier and when there's not enough food in the environment, they don't live as long and they're less likely to have a baby. So if we can treat this problem with veterinarians, maybe those whales that are a little bit sick can survive long enough to have a baby. Is that fair? Is that kind of an accurate simplification of the big mission?
Yes, that was great.
And then a number of people are asking, how can we help?
How can we help? With parasites?
How can we help the whales? What can people be doing?
Oh, well, you can support research on the whales, first of all.
Okay.
Secondly,
So
some of
people
the-
could go to our Donate Now page and support this project if they wanted?
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A portion of those donations help me do my research too, so that would be a big help.
Cool.
The other things that are threatening the whales that we study are ocean noise.
Mm-hmm.
So the noise that comes from big ships that come into Vancouver and Seattle. So even just reducing the amount that you order things online that have to be internationally shipped, that helps.
Mm-hmm.
These whales really love Chinook salmon, and there aren't really a ton left for them. So if you wanted to stop eating Chinook salmon, that would also help them a lot.
And a couple of quick questions that just came in. I'm not an expert in this, but I remember hearing you should not flush kitty litter down the toilet because there is toxoplasma.
That's correct.
Is that a parasite?
Yes. So Toxoplasmosis gondii is the parasite that causes toxoplasma, and it is a parasite that can infect sea otters, and it's really bad for the sea otters. It
Okay.
kills them pretty quickly, and that's been a problem in Santa Cruz and Monterey Bay.
Okay.
But they've actually found that it looks like the parasite that's infecting sea otters is actually coming from wildcats.
Oh,
So like cougars and bobcats in the neighboring forests that somehow wash down into the bay that they live.
okay.
Interesting.
Still not a good idea to flush your kitty litter, but it might not be as bad as we thought.
Okay. But if you can avoid flushing kitty litter, great. Avoid dumping chemicals down your sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, just generally put less junk into the ocean and take
That
fewer
sounds good.
and take fewer fish out of it. At least fewer Chinook salmon.
And keep learning about the ocean
And support
enjoy
nonprofits
it.
who are doing work that you love.
Once the strong germ days are over, we can go back to spending more time on our beaches and enjoying them. I think that's a big part.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there were so many other great questions. I think if we can, the best one. I don't want to end before asking you this question because I know you're working on it. People have been asking, is climate change making the parasite situation
Yeah.
better or worse?
I've seen that
If it's getting warmer, are we
number of
killing off the
questions.
parasites?
It depends on the parasite, really.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
going back, I had said earlier that some parasites live in one animal their whole lives, and others have these life cycles, like the worms that infect killer whales, that involve a lot of different animals.
Okay.
So it really depends on how climate change is affecting the animals that parasites live in.
Okay.
So in the case of parasites that just live in one animal, if climate change is making it really hard for that animal to live, then
Yeah.
those parasites are likely to go
Okay.
extinct with those animals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there just is a whole lot of just really fundamental science that we need to be doing.
In this area.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on the
You're on the
There's
cutting edge.
There's lots to discover and explore, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think that's a piece of advice. You said a really wise thing at the beginning, which was I wanted to help the whales, so I found a thing that no one else was doing and
But
said
that
I could
needed-
do that.
But that needed to be done.
And that's really cool. So,
It's not the prettiest, but it's helping.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's important.
that is so great. What did we miss? Are there any
I think
important take-home messages that you want to leave us with?
I think your summary that you gave a couple minutes ago was spot on. I think that it's just important to remember that sometimes there's a lot more than meets the eye with these animals. Like
Yeah.
parasites have this whole world to them that we don't even really see because
Yeah.
they live inside animals and they can have a really big effect. So they shouldn't be ignored.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, put less junk in the ocean.
Yes.
Take fewer Chinook salmon out of the ocean if you can be eating pink or sockeye or other fish for right now will help the southern
local.
residents. Shop locally, buy less. I think this crazy month has taught us that we can actually get by with a lot less, with buying a lot less,
Yeah.
traveling a lot less.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are asking, we will save this video. We're going to save the Instagram version so you can see Natalie side by side. We will put that video on our YouTube and Vimeo platforms. We'll put it on our website under the About Us tab. There's a virtual marine biology camp page. We'll post it there. And if you have any questions, please like, comment, share, sign up for the newsletter, email us questions. And I think the plan is on Monday the 30th, we're going to be joined by Dr. David Schiffman, Why Sharks Matter, talking about all shark-related questions. We're going to have to ask him if sharks get parasites.
Yes.
Oh,
But yes, please send in any questions you may have about sharks. That's sort of broad, but I think
Sharks are pretty cool.
he has a pretty wide-ranging
Yep.
level of expertise. So
And then I'd encourage you to go to our website, oceansinitiative.org, and on the About Us page, you can see Natalie's bio and learn more about her program, her background, the path she took to become a marine biologist. And I think, if it doesn't yet, let's make sure it links to your blog so people can see more behind-the-scenes stuff of you in the lab back when labs were open.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you,
us.
Natalie.
And we will
Yeah,
see you
thank
all
you so much.
and
Mondays
thank you
and
all-
Thursdays at 11 Seattle time.
Yeah.
And thanks for your flexibility.
Thank you all for
Yeah.
joining us and for all of your fascinating questions. It's
Yeah, they were great.
yeah.
I learned a lot.
Me too.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, everyone, for the questions.
See you soon.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.